The meeting of the Tyler ISD Board of Trustees has been called to order, and we have a presence of a quorum. It has been duly called, and the notice of the meeting has been posted in the time and manner required. First up is public participation, which I believe we have none. Next up, we have continuous improvement in student outcomes.
Yes, ma'am, Acting President. We now have continuous improvement student outcomes. We have a next is now preview of the 1882 partnership with the University of Texas at Tyler. With select campuses, we have Dr. Bobby Markle, Chief Innovation Officer, that will guide us through that presentation. I believe all technology is working, and we're going to turn it over to you, Dr. Markle.
Thank you. Good early evening, board. Sitting president tonight, Ms. Harrison. And Dr. Crawford, it's an honor to be here tonight to update you on some Nexus Now. Like any good presentation, I'm not going to read it for you, but we'll go over the highlights and then answer questions at the end. So this is our 1882 partnership. It is a redesigned and forward-looking collaboration with Tyler ISD and University of Texas at Tyler. A part of this was a call for quality schools. When we did our presentation, UT Tyler was one of the entities that did answer that call, and that's why we have gotten into an agreement with them, and we're going to continue to work on that agreement through the end of our application process that I'll talk about in just a minute. So what next is now, 1880 Partnership is guided by these core values. The main things we want to really focus on is this is about students. We want to make sure that our students have a pipeline into various industries starting at an early age. And so one of those would be biomedical science through UT Tyler Health, that side of UT Tyler, and then as well as clinical preparations for teachers. And so we want to actually engage our students early on to see that teaching is a great profession that they might be able to see themselves in as a part of our grow our own practices here in Tyler ISD. So you can see the other things that we're looking for in these partnerships, but those would be the two main highlights that I want to point out on this slide. As it relates to what makes this partnership distinct is my whole thing would be local. We wanted a partnership that really brought together this community. Tyler is in both of our names. Tyler is our hometown. We've said it's our hometown district, but it is our hometown place where education should be seen as something really, really special. So we believe that together we will really elevate our stature in education and bring something very different that nobody's ever seen in a community like Tyler across the state. For 26-27, we are going to slow roll our partnership alongside UT Tyler at 3 schools, Pete, Clarkston, and Bonner. At Pete, we are going to be targeting an early literacy teacher prep program. At Clarkston, we will be targeting a residency teacher prep program for K through or pre-K through 5. And at Bonner, we will be targeting the biomedical science program with that partnership with UT Health. Our main thing is we really want the collaboration to be intentional and aligned to both values of each core organization. So as we get into our performance agreement, we will definitely outline further for y'all how that will work. But the main thing is to give students experiences in both of those two major categories I talked about, biomedical science and teacher preparation. So there's your brief overview of where we are with 1882, the 3 targeted schools, and I can now answer any questions you might have.
Any questions or comments?
I've got a few, Madam Chair Lady. Thank you. Mr. Markle, on the 1882 partnership, I guess, and we bounced this around before, the first year we go at it on our own. Is that correct as far as the funding and all of that, and got to prove up a year? And then after that is when that extra funding comes in. Is that correct?
So, no, sir. I know we bounced around a few things. 1882 was one of those. The other one you're talking about is the resource allotment. The resource allotment is another strategy that is housed in Austin at the Texas Education Agency that was placed at Austin that you have to go at it on your own the first year to be eligible to apply for that in the second year. That's where we'll talk about what we're going to do at Bolter for the next presentation.
So that'll be the component at Bolter.
That's
This,
correct.
do we get the funding right off the bat then, the 1882?
This is an
money?
1882 partnership, and we're still working through that agreement. Our attorneys have had a chance to look at it. UT Tyler's attorneys have a chance to look at it as well. We've also have some agency interpretations that we're working through as well, that we should be able to bring something back to y'all at the March board meeting for the 1882 actual performance
agreement.
That's the name of it, right, the nomenclature on there as well. There's some things that have been in play on this. We could have considered what we're going to do in the next presentation at one of our middle school campuses to be included in this, along with some other campuses. But the weight and the lift of this does not scare us in Tyler ISD, but you can understand at UT Tyler, they're a little hesitant with that. They're going through a dean search right now. They think that these three campuses with these three strategies are what they can handle in the first year of 1882, with some opportunities down the road to open up some other doors for us to work with us as well.
So,
Go ahead.
so, and I get that, on the Pete and the Clarkston, those are gonna be kind of teacher prep type of deal, so that's gonna address it directly with UT Tyler?
Early on, yes,
Okay.
sir.
And then, talk to me about the biomed at Bonner. Why, what triggered that?
Well, certainly location is certainly something that we're taking a look at. It's got its academics in order. We know that it's an A-rated campus. We've got Christus and UT Health right there in our backyard right there that we're going to be able to capitalize on as well. So it made a little bit more sense for us right there because of their stability. We did consider the other elementary campus that's in proximity to that being Bell as well. But we might save them for another strategy down the road. And then you also have Moore that's right next door. It does have its MST designation for math, science, and technology, with some opportunities in there to do some biomed strategies in there as well. The reason we're having to do this is we don't have a standalone campus here. We're actually easing into this biomed magnet. So you're going to do a school within a school concept here. It may not be a school-wide thing right off the bat, from my understanding, Dr. Markle.
Yes,
So
sir.
we will certainly have some STEM and some biomed opportunities for the kids in there. So you should be seeing some, third through fifth graders walking around in some white lab coats at Bonner here pretty soon.
So the 1882 money is not just specifically for schools that are challenged academically. We can actually throw schools in there that are doing great academically, like Bonner.
Yeah, I mean, that's some strategies that you're starting to see in some school districts that value innovation, just like Tyler ISD has always. The largest one you've seen in the paper, Houston ISD, is also considering this same strategy with some of their magnetized schools as well, because they've got some creative things that are going on in Houston ISD, just like we do here and what we're going to embark upon here shortly. And the understanding is, since the state is no longer providing us with basic allotment money, that they're actually being housed in all the allotments in the agency now, as opposed to just the legislature writing checks to schools. This is how you go grab those additional funds so that you can actually do some of these innovative programs for the benefits of students. And so it's exciting. I mean, there's no doubt about it. But the funding of it is a concern. There's some governance structuring that needs to occur as well. We can also take a question about that if you have anything in regard to that.
I do, just finishing up the last two, and I know one is probably for down the road. Whenever you guys get your numbers together as the amount of proposed additional funding that we'd receive from 1882, I'd like to see that. And then the last component, which you were just talking about, is the governance board. I know that we're gonna have to have some type of governance board underneath us. And will that governance board, Soup, look at all of these different schools or just specific school?
So the way that governance is structured is not underneath us. It's actually with the partner.
Okay.
And so it is a locally designed board. We've had conversations with Dr. Philly at the University of Texas at Tyler, the president over there. We've submitted some names that make a little bit of sense on her end and our end as well. We can talk about those offline if you'd like to, because we have not got commitments and we're not there yet. And so that's where the governance would actually stand. A lot of times it's done through a 501c3 partnership. Think of the Chamber of Commerce and its Business Education Council, if they were to do that. This is actually different. This is actually going with the University of Texas system, at University of Texas at Tyler as part of a system that would actually house the governance over there. As far as funding goes, we'll have better numbers for you when actually we come back in March. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, Ms. Russell, you want to provide any type of ballpark from what you've done your investigatory work on?
I think it's going to be around $1,000 per kid in addition to what we're already receiving for that ADA
So an additional 1,000 on the ADA.
for just the 3 schools under the partnership.
How many kids you think you got at those 3 schools?
He knows, Dr. Markle?
1,800.
There you go.
We've been talking a lot.
Okay.
Thank you.
So just on those 3 schools though, right? So when we initially talked about Bolter, we also initially talked about Moore. We've also initially talked about some other schools as well. We feel like that these 3, again, provide a substantial benefit financially, obviously. But at the same time, with our partner, it does not put a whole lot of strain on them as they're embarking on something that's a little bit foreign to them, even though they do run some charter operations over there. This is actually something that they'll stand arm in arm with us in regard to these campuses.
And, you know, the goal would be relating to their college of, so they have a college of engineering, they have a college of education. The great thing about these partnerships down the road is we understand them better and better. We can utilize those resources to directionally do some of those goals. So when we say we're going to go somewhere with this, it would really be in relationship to what they're offering to their students, as well as what would benefit our students. And so if we can make that happen, then we increase that pipeline for them, potentially keeping more kids local, thinking about jobs locally, but thinking about their education locally. And so that's where we're kind of exploring the future. But again, it'll be a soft roll with these 3 schools as we figure it out.
Good. Anybody else? Thank you. Exciting stuff. Dr. Markle, you're
Yeah.
up next.
All right. Hey, thanks for having me again. I'm right here. So next, we're going to talk about another program, not to be confused with 1882, but I do get a lot of questions on that because it is coming out of the Next is Now shop and the work that we're doing. This is all about the Accelerated Campus of Excellence. If you type in ACE for TEA, you can actually get 2 different types of ACEs. So I would highly recommend you make sure you're looking at the Accelerated Campus of Excellence and not the one that's the community and schools, because there are 2 separate programs. So I get a lot of questions on that. But let's talk about ACE. So again, you have all the information you need here, and I'm going to go over it briefly to get to discussion questions. But ACE for us provides a dynamic reform. We want to make sure that the work we do Next is Now is not just doing the same thing over and over, but maybe calling it different. We want to see an impact, a change, something where you physically and visually see something that we haven't tried. And so in our research over the last semester, we really felt like ACE was an opportunity that the state is granting us to support a campus specifically so that that could be reformed a different way than any other model that we currently have. And so in looking at that campus is Bolter. ACE has 5 pillars that, again, you can read them all, but I am going to go through each one of these independently. So the first one would be strategic staffing. The action we're looking for here is to make sure high quality instructors are in front of students every day. And so ACE does require 50% of those core teachers to be TIA designated. And so as we think about staffing for that campus, we are going to do direct recruiting to make sure that we can really have the best teachers in front of students and compensate those teachers accordingly. And that's where the special compensation packages on the strategic staffing will come into play. The second pillar is instructional excellence. We've alluded to this with Houston ISD. They have their NES system, the new educational system. We have the Evergreen Systems of Excellence. And so essentially we are going to mirror and adapt their model of instruction, which all is about real-time teacher proficiency. Not that we don't look at those variables here in Tyler ISD, but this is even more strategic. It's more streamlined, and it really is about instructional impact on a day-to-day basis, on a time basis. And so as we get into that further, obviously we'll communicate more for y'all. We hope all of y'all that haven't seen the model in real time, but you can also see some other actions that are different. Dyads, this is where we're going to bring in community members to help do special types of electives to give kids opportunities. We're also going to be looking at real-time measurements of the proficiency, like I said, that will help teachers get better faster. And so you'll hear words like further faster or get better faster. That's what you'll see there, as well as a completely different theory of action on how the instruction is designed. It'll be designed locally, but in a strategic group that will only report to those schools. So it'll be a part of our C&I program, but carved out so that this campus will have some people that are responsive. So if it's not working, we don't have to go through a lot of different structures. We can go directly to the source, change it, and let's move on so that those kids can maximize their day-to-day instructional opportunities. Also looking at extended learning time. This will first start with an ADSE calendar or additional days of school years. This will come to the board for first reading next month. And so, but to give you a preview, the state allows you to do ADSE. It's up to 30 additional instructional days when you have 175 instructional days as your minimum, which we do. And we are going to be looking at on the front end days that only Bolter students would be impacted by, and so they would start earlier to get them a jump start. And we'll do some creative things in that. They're going to have to get used to the system. They're going to have to get used to the culture and the climate that'll be different there. They're going to have to get used to the new staff that are going to have different expectations for them. But then we'll also bookend that with some summer ADSE days, which will be actually more differentiated for students who might need that to continue their practice, their mastery. So when we think about ADSE, there is some flexibility in that, but there will be specific days that will extend Bolter's students' opportunities for instruction. And then also student support. This is a huge part of the ACE, so in not only adding a counselor there, but also adding an SEL counselor specifically for those students. And so that way, if there are issues coming up with students, we can get them supports they need, but also the goal is to get them right back into the classroom. We want to make sure that no instructional time is wasted for them, and you'll also see a larger impact with the deans of students that'll be located there. So when we're talking about either managing behavior, managing situations that go on in the school, we will have tiers of that so that the principal can be relieved from those duties as well as the assistant principals. That way they're in classrooms giving teachers feedback immediately and working on proficiency and letting individuals take care of students' needs in this model. And then strong external alignment. The goal that makes anything work is when your external and internal work together. Well, we believe that ACE is going to do that. And so we're going to work with community partners as well as parents to make sure they understand the vision of this, that they can get on board with this so that they see that the number one thing we're after is their student success. So the commitment that they put into it will show value. And so when you're saying, hey, I'm going to go to Bolter, you're actually making a commitment for your kid just like you would at any of our magnet schools. You know, as being the principal at Caldwell, the number one thing that helped that community thrive is when people made the commitment to go there as a magnet school. You had to give up transportation. So there are things you're going to have to give up to go to Bolter, but the impact and the success that they're going to have will far
Transportation
outweigh.
is not one of those.
Say it again?
Transportation
No,
is not one of
transportation is
those.
not one of those. Those are two completely different
There you go.
examples, only to make a relationship between what I'm trying to get across to y'all. With that said, that's where we'll start to see the external alignment. We understand there's a tradition in the Bolter community. I'm from Tyler, Texas. I've known, I grew up understanding Bolter, and I know that that community is proud of its work and what it believes in, but this will just be another notch in what's excellent about that community, and we believe that all the community partners that align with us will see that. And with that, those are the 5 pillars, and if there's any questions, we will vet those for you now.
Let me just make a commentary before anybody asks any questions. We've always said this about our middle schools, that our middle schools should look more like an elementary school than a high school. We can no longer afford to operate our middle schools like they're pre-high school. Just like we don't like our high schools to operate like they're pre-college, even though they do have some of that intertwined. And so that's what you're going to see here. I'm not going to say we're going to run it like an elementary school, but it's going to look more like an elementary school than it's going to look like pre-Tyler High School. Every kid that goes to one of our comprehensive middle schools deserves to be in an A or B rated school, and the staff and the structure and the instructional methodology in there need to replicate that same theory of action. And that's why we're choosing this to go there, is because we've got 900 kids or so that go to Bolter, and we want to make sure that they get the opportunity to catch up and sustain as quickly as we possibly can. So there's your leadoff commentary there from the soup. If you got any questions?
Anybody?
I've got a question. On your strategic staffing, for years, we've tried to incentivize staff to go to challenging schools. What makes you think this will be different, and how are y'all going to have success getting the right staff at Boulder?
We've been very sensitive in recruiting from other campuses to go to those. I do think that some of the lack in funding, substantial, what I call real money, to attract someone to go to school there has been lacking throughout the years as well, from what I can tell. You start pairing your TIA money with this already, and you start thinking about attracting some folks to go over there, because y'all remember the TIA funding that comes with a higher performing teacher is also based upon economically disadvantaged rates. In other words, if you're at Bonner, which we've got a teacher at Bonner, or tell me again my favorite example, what campus that's at? Austin, that is making over six figures by the time that you start putting in all of the stipends in there. She would not obviously get the bump, maybe get a little bump with some of the TIA plus that we may be putting out there. But you start talking about a campus that may not have the same economic disadvantage rates to go there. Now, you may be saying, how can we rate our other campuses to send them to Boulder? For one, you start looking at the middle school certifications, and those range variety of, Mr. Jones, K through 6, 4 through 8, et cetera, et cetera.
Yes, sir. There's no need for me to say anything. You know.
There you go. Okay.
There you go.
So you would also be looking at, it's not just middle schools, it could be elementary schools as well, depending upon their certifications. We're also going to cap the amount of teachers that can go from one campus to Boulder, because we don't want to raid another campus and put them in a deficiency as well. Although some of those campuses that are high performing have been proven to be able to backfill whenever we do have vacancies that come up. So that's why we feel like we're going to be able to make some movement on this, is because there's going to be some incentivization to go, some real money attached to it that will be TRS eligible. In the past, those things were not TRS eligible either, would not be retirement eligible. It'd just be like a stipend to go there. If you can attach that to actually the performance that they have at TIA, TRS should allow them to be eligible to counting that compensation.
And if I may, the instructional design is even more teacher-friendly. It is designed to keep you focused on very specific instruction. It takes a lot of lift to do that when it comes to the rest of the staffing coming along that for Boulder, but there's a lot more behind just the incentivization that I do think will attract a lot of teachers from different areas, including outside the district, which we will be heavily recruiting for as well.
We've gotten indication early on that we've got 3 that might come locally within our orbit here, not just in Tyler. So that's, if we're trying to gain how many more? We're looking
Around
for
11.
Looking for 11 more. If those 3, we can knock those 3, that might work out. Because if you think about our suburbs and our here in East Texas, they don't have that EcoDis rate that would actually boost that TIA to pretty substantial levels. And they've already accomplished TIA wherever they're at, and so they might be able to boost by 20% is some of those that I'm
Pretty
looking at, maybe even
significant.
more, maybe 40%.
Yeah,
Yeah.
serious money.
Anybody else?
Madam President,
Yes.
Vice President, sorry. On the ADSE, you were talking about that's extra days for students. Assume there's also some extra days for staff. Before that, you may have missed that. Is that correct?
Yes, the staff will need to be there.
And they will know those days next month. We'll approve those, what the calendar
We'll have
is
that in
First
front of
reading.
you, be the first reading of that calendar.
And then,
Correct.
Yes.
in April. Okay. So not that I had anybody ask me about, what if I already have vacation planned when the new calendar comes out? So I said, well, I'm sure they'll work. I'm sure we'll figure something out, but.
We'll work. If they are TIA eligible and a high achieving teacher, we'll figure those little details out.
great. Anybody else? Artie?
In regards to TIA teachers coming in, are just being incentivized to go to the campus, do you think it's more the incentive or is it the program that they're interested in?
As an educator, I think it would be both. I mean, as a professional educator, I'd be interested in the design because it's very Teach Like America, very altruistic. I'm going to go in and make an impact, but it's also money. I mean, people would like to make more money. So I personally believe it would be both.
Are they familiar with the curriculum? The ones that are considering going, do they know about the curriculum and the format, et cetera?
So we're going to have a kickoff meeting on Wednesday with the principals to discuss this, to
Okay.
give them basically the presentation on TIA. And I will say the first feedback we've got from a panel of principals that we vetted this to, they also see the cohesive need that we're a district first.
Right.
We're not just independent campuses. So there is kind of some intrigue even from principals to try to rally behind this. But once that sets into motion, we will have some call to action meetings with the TIA teachers, and they will all have that outlined for them so they understand what they will be getting into if they choose to sign up and interview for these sacred positions.
Well, I can appreciate the concept of principals buying in initially because that has not, I don't think, been one of the things that we've experienced, that we are a district as a whole as opposed to individual campuses on an island. So I think that will be beneficial if they can buy into that and encourage the expansion of this particular program because that would be good.
And it's a group lift. I mean, Ms. Taylor, Ms. Russell, I mean, we've had meetings after meetings after meetings just to make sure that we are making this a cohesive effort and it's not just an independent, only solely helps one person, so.
Yeah, I mean, it's even gotten to the board table. I mean, we 5 of the 7 of y'all have gone to some type of experience for of the instruction methodology and the proficiency that we're looking for in some way, shape, or form. So it's not just a lift at the campus level, it's a lift at the board dais level as well. And one thing you probably skipped over in your presentation is we will be reporting instructional proficiency at the ACE campus at the board dais. Now, it may be a staff report that you might have questions about. It may not be a full report every time to come up here, but that is something that you will have month to month information on to be monitoring what the ultimate goal is, and that's to make sure that our instruction is improving over there,
Right.
because that's what drives the learning, that's what drives the performance. And we've seen that work out for us as well. We also have opportunities for ESEA campuses. Those are the aligned campuses that won't get the resources. They'll get some of the structuring that goes along with it, but the curriculum as well. We saw that in Houston. We saw that in the N2 learning. The
Third Futures.
Third Futures as well, that you've got these campuses that are aligned and may not have the same resources, but they have adopted the same principles. We would like to see a feeder pattern push on this, and we do think we've got a pretty good strategy on that.
Anybody else? Yes.
Madam Vice President, thank you. Yeah, I'm happy we're moving in this direction, and I'm even happier we're moving quickly because we've got to address Boulder. I don't sugarcoat it at all. If we were a B-rated in Boulder, we'd have been an A-rated district. I think that's pretty obvious. And all of our other middle schools are competitive. I mean, with the same challenging demographics. So this is a good thing that we're doing this, and it's an even better thing that we're doing it this fast, because every kid that comes through a grade there and goes on to the next one, we're missing them at some point, and this will address it. I have a few questions on this, but mine is more on the staffing side to start off with. How much of that do you think is gonna turn over, if that's the right word, or move, to another campus? Because this thing is gonna look way different than what we're used to a school looking like. It just is. If you've seen the models that we've looked at, they look way different. They doesn't look like our school, the way that material is delivered, the way the principals are evaluated, the responsibilities of staff, it just looks way different. How much do you expect to be able to save people who say, okay, I'm used to doing things this way, but now I'm all on board with this? How much of that you think you'll have, Soup?
Well, if you keep every TIA teacher there, we have 6, is that correct?
We're predicting 6.
Predicting 6. We're looking for 18, correct? So we're looking for 12 or 11.
11 to 13.
11 to 13. So that's already some new spots right there. The thing is, I'll say to answer your question, how many do I predict? When you're acing this and y'all are sticking your hand up in the air, which from my understanding, TEA says you don't have to do that. We're just doing that as a symbolic gesture, correct?
Yes.
We've done this before. We've done this back in 2014 where we had to reconstitute 4 elementary campuses because they'd hit the magic number of improvement required. So it's not like our HR team, or at least the superintendent, maybe Dr. Ward, have not had to go through this before. We've also done this at Dogan. We've also done this at Hogg, whenever we've done some shifting where we wound up with the 4 comprehensive middle school quadrants that we have now. So if you have a contract with Tyler ISD and you're in good standing with that contract, you should be eligible for employment for next year. You will go through an interview process to actually be interviewed and selected as such. If you're not certified and you're not in good standing with Tyler ISD, it's the same thing as having a probationary contract every year this time of year anyways. I hate having to do this. I can't stand the timing because we feel decent about the performance that they've had over there. They've been encouraged to win this year, just like they did at Dogan, just like they did at Hogg in the years that we redesigned those or transformed some of the feeder patterns or had to do some of the things we did. But time is of the essence. We cannot wait till summer to staff the campus that way. We've already met with the staff last week. And so I'd really prefer to say, okay, hey, we're going to wait until May to see if we become a B or if we jump back, grab a decent rating there, and then all things are fine. No, that's not how you do things. We've had this consistent thing of where we kind of just float along there, C, D, C, had an F a couple of years ago, C, D. The consistency is not there. And so we need to act differently and triage towards this issue. And it is something we've never embarked upon because I think if we did the same old, we'd get the same result.
On the, thank you, Soup.
Yeah.
On the governance portion, will it be much like the 1882 model as well, or will it be different?
No, Bolter, we own it.
Okay,
Okay, so, or y'all own it.
right, so there'll be nothing in
Administration
between
runs
us?
it. Yeah, y'all own it. Administration runs it in year 1. Resource, in year 2, we'll have to make a decision. Y'all will have to make a decision upon an administrative recommendation of whether or not it goes 1882 or we apply for the resource allotment.
Thank you.
I do have a follow-up question. In regards to the staffing, Leno reminded me of this, is now, knowing that some of the teachers that's on that campus now will not be on that campus next year, do we have any idea, a number about, we're saying probably, 11 to 13 TIA teachers will be replacing some teachers, but there are some teachers that's not TIA teachers there. And so how are we going to
That's not
handle
me.
that? It's probably mine. Oh, it's not mine.
Chief Woolsworth. Okay. So once the administrative team gels and coalesces, then they will begin a process with HR to go through staffing for the remainder of the campus.
Okay.
So everything's on the table as far as the redesign goes. Again, traditionally speaking, the tradition will get you beat may not always be the same people on that campus.
Right. Well,
And so no one's guaranteed a spot because you don't sign a contract with Bolter.
right.
You sign a contract with Tyler ISD. And so we will be fair and within Chapter 21 of the Texas Education Code as far as contract goes. As far as assignment goes, that's up to the administration. The administration on that campus will interview those individuals to see if they need to stay or not. And if they choose them to not offer them position at Bolter, and they're not in one of those specialized instructional spots that we've got, they're in more of a support spot, or maybe they're not social studies, or the other 30, or the other 18 spots that you need to fill up the core content areas.
It's all on the table.
It's all on the table. Certainly is.
So, well, okay, because I know there's a lot of anxiety about the process. And especially teachers that's going to stay within the district, they're not sure where they will go and the availability of things. Is there going to be some collaboration between HR and the current staff that's there in helping to assist them to know what openings are available within the district,
Absolutely.
et cetera?
We did the same thing with Douglas, Griffin, Ramey, and Pete. And Hogg and Dogan. We've got
Okay.
experience doing this. We've got a playbook to be able to go do this. And absolutely, whenever this meeting's over with, be looking, if your constituents are contacting you and wondering about that, I'm sure they are, they will actually be communicated with through human resources to outline the next steps.
Well, based on the feedback I got, they weren't exactly happy with how it happened in the past. They felt like it wasn't as much support as they needed in helping to locate the jobs within the district. They felt like they were kind of out there on their own, so to speak. So I was
Well-
wondering, are we going to be a little bit, you say keep doing the same thing the same way?
Yeah.
Can we do something a little bit different,
Yeah.
maybe a little bit more proactive, maybe
I
even
saw that
going
really
to the
good teachers
campus?
got placed at campuses and interviewed at those campuses and got picked up pretty quick, and others took a little bit more time.
Yeah.
Again, we're not going to sit here and just assign a teacher to a campus that has not been performing. Just because you have a contract with the district doesn't mean you get to choose where you go. It doesn't mean you're going to get a first shot, because they're going to be very picky at the other campuses. Again, backfilling is something that they're going to need to do as well. We need to prefer them to choose some of these teachers that we have, and we're going to have data for a lot of them, especially if they teach a core content area. If by chance they don't get picked up, there's obviously an opportunity for a long-term sub. You don't get sub pay, you get regular teacher pay, and you may be assigned at a campus whenever we have a vacancy. We had some of that happen last time, and one teacher spent an entire year, I can't remember her name, she doesn't work with us anymore, spent an entire year in a long-term serve position, which became pretty permanent, and then wound up finding a position for a couple, 3 more years elsewhere. So there's always types of strategies as far as employment goes, and we will make sure that we practice fidelity to Chapter 21 of the code as far as contract law goes.
So what I'm hearing, if they've been doing a good job for the district, it's almost, they will definitely have a job, but if it's in borderline, it's questionable, right? And that makes sense. I'm not opposing it, I'm just trying to
well-
clarify it in that aspect.
If they have a contract, that's where you first start. If it's probationary, then that's a whole different animal in itself, within the first 3 years of employment here. But as far as Chapter 21 of the code, if you've got a contract and it's a term contract in the district, then that's going to be up to them to be able to go showcase their skills if we've got data that matches it as well. Along with, we're going to rely heavily on Mr. Simmons as well. I mean, were they good employees at the time during this last phase of what we've been doing as well? So we'll get feedback as many places as we possibly can, and we'll go from there.
Madam Vice President, ma'am? Just a quick comment and then a question about extras. I would encourage the board to give the soup a lot of leeway on this staffing deal. He's done a great job leading this effort to try to correct Bolter. This is being addressed over there because there's issues over there. And I want him to have our confidence. Do whatever you need to do on the staffing side, because we can't keep moving stuff around and thinking it's not going to affect us. It's the same people, and if you're just moving them around, you're not changing the people, you're just changing their location. So from my perspective and for my fellow board members, I encourage them to give you a lot of leeway and autonomy when it comes to that. We get calls, sure, from our constituents, but I already knew the calls were coming. That's not an issue for me and my constituents. I have full faith in you that you'll do a good job at that, and I want you to know that. On the question side, when we went to visit these campuses in Houston and other places, tell me about the extras. And, you know, I'm not a big extracurricular guy, but talk to me about that, because that was very minimal at these campuses. You know, it was almost an afterthought. And I know how that plays into the overall picture. I get it. I've been around for a while. Talk to me about that. How's that going to look at Boulder?
It's about all extracurriculars?
In general, yes.
Yeah, you may not, you're going to have to tweak some things, but we're not going to do away with extracurricular activities because you do have some comprehensive middle schools. There's models in Houston to where they have done away with all extracurriculars. There's also models where they have not. We're not going to do away with extracurricular activities. We can't, you know, cut Tyler High off at its knees for the Big Blue Band or for whatever athletic programs we have. So as far as what that looks like, we should, I won't say status quo on that, but there'll be just maybe a tweak or an adjustment or two as far as amount of time in a class period so that we can get the instruction done. So in other words, if our middle schools right now are on block schedules, does that make sense? And you've got how many minutes, Dr. Gropel, for right now? If you have a first period or last period athletics on our current block scheduled campuses, it's 50 minutes. It may look a little different. It may be a 30-minute period on the back end, the front of the day. And you will have to practice before and after school because you can't get athletics done just inside of that block anyway.
Sure.
So we will make sure we're going to prioritize and have fidelity to make sure we're protecting the instructional day. And there may be some adjustments on the back. There's no other place we can really fit an athletic period. I say that. I'm not gonna make a promise to that. Let's rewind that and erase that. There may be a chance for that, but we'll have to be creative on that. It's not going away if that's what you're asking.
The reason I ask is looking at this model and having studied it for a long time, what Mike Miles is doing down in Houston that's working with these demographics and these challenging schools. They dedicate a huge portion of the day to instructional delivery and intake. That's what we're supposed to be doing, educating kids. This is not a football training camp. But if we tweak their model too much, what I'm afraid of, if we change their franchise too much, because it looks like a McDonald's, like you buy it and you run it like a McDonald's and it produces money for you. I'm afraid if we tweak it too much and then we say, hey, we didn't get the results that you guys are getting, well, it's because you tweaked it too much. It's because you changed too much in that model, and that's why it's not performing. And so I'm going to leave that to the experts. I think that's what you guys are, to know what to change and what not to change. But one thing I did notice, very little extracurriculars down in that school in Houston. Very little extracurriculars. Now, that doesn't mean we can't do them before or after school, but the majority of the time that the kids are in contact with us, I hope we're delivering instruction and they're taking it.
Yeah, there's a lot of minimal things that are going on in Houston ISD in regard to some things. Bilingual education, I didn't see much of that going on. Special education, we didn't see much of that going on there. But you're right. You have to have fidelity to your plan. And that's why, you know, the debate about Bluebonnet curriculum. Man, if you adopt Bluebonnet curriculum and have fidelity to the curriculum, you will get outstanding results, because if you've got a decent enough curriculum or a decent enough plan and you have fidelity to that and you buy into it, you're going to have good results. You're going to have good results. So I hear you loud and clear. We're not going to sit here and we're not going to sit here and try to man, that's a bad word, adjust it so much that it doesn't look like what we've already been on and learned so much about to be effective, okay? Let me say one more thing about HR. We will be fair, Mr. Newsom,
I appreciate that.
okay? Always. We're always fair, I believe, in human resource. People may not like that fairness, but it's always fair. We will be fair, okay?
Just one more quick comment before we move on. Dr. Crawford, I appreciate you talking a little bit about the history of what you've done over the last 10 or 11 years. I think, at least from my experience sitting up here, there's been a lot of things that have had to get fixed first. And I just commend you and Dr. Markle for now getting to the point where we can be innovative and look at some things differently. And with some of our campuses that have, you know, had some trouble with over the years, and I just want to say how much I appreciate that. I really feel like now we're turning the corner and we can move the needle on some of the kids that maybe didn't have the opportunities that they did before. So appreciate that, guys.
Anybody else before we consider approval? Okay, we will now consider approval of the Accelerated Campus of Excellence Plan for Bolter Middle School for the 2026-2027 school year. Can I get a motion?
Madam Vice President. I move that we approve the, is it Next is Now agenda item? That would be agenda item A.
Okay, can I get a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
I do have somebody in the audience that I do want to introduce to y'all, a little personnel announcement here, and that's Mr. Nathan Harbor. He's current principal at Orr Elementary School. We have designated Mr. Harbor to actually become the new principal at Bolter Middle School. We appreciate all the effort that Mr. Simmons has gone through. He does have a bright future with us in Tyler ISD. We've talked to him about that. He is going to win this year, carry them across the finish line with a much improved rating as well. But I wanted to make sure that y'all saw Mr. Harbor in the background back there. Mr. Harbor has been an elementary teacher before. Now he's an elementary principal. Y'all have heard the elementary theme today about what we're trying to do over there to get Bolter going instructionally. So Mr. Harbor, why don't you come up here and just address the board real quick in this personnel announcement. Mr. Harbor is actually from Graham, Texas. He played basketball at the University of Texas at Tyler. He taught at Kissam Elementary School in Chapel Hill. Then he came for 3 years, and he came over here, worked at Moore Middle School for Mr. Lane. Then he worked at Tyler High School for Mr. Lane. He's been the principal at Orr for the last 2 years. So I took away everything that you were going to say.
Greetings, board. Thank you all for giving me this honor to speak, I guess. Was not planned. But just one of the things that I remember going through a similar process when Mr. Lane hired me at Moore, it was the year that my first year teaching there at Moore was the year that Dogan was closed down, and just loved the kids coming in, and we figured out a way to win in my classroom and carried that on. And I feel like we've done that at Orr the past couple of years and look forward to doing that at Bolter with all of the staff that we're going to bring in. It's not going to look the same day one as it does right now. Like I think that's the mission.
Thank you, Mr. Harbor. Mr. Harbor is not going to earn any more compensation. He's going to continue to run Orr, and expectations are for them to finish the year strong as well, while planning and preparing for his new endeavor at Bolter as well.
Yeah, we're on a great track this year at Orr, so excited for that as well.
Good.
Well, congratulations and good luck.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
We will now go into executive session.
Thank you.
Good evening and welcome to the public meeting for Tyler ISD. There is a presence of a quorum and the meeting has been duly called and the notice of the meeting has been posted in the time and manner required. We will start off with prayer and pledge with Mr. Martin.
Let's pray. Heavenly Father, we come together tonight with grateful hearts. We thank you for the students of this district. Each one is unique, full of potential, full of promise. They are the reason that we are here. Thank you for their curiosity, their resilience, their energy, and the future they represent. May we never lose sight of the fact that our work centers around their growth and well-being. We also give thanks for our teachers and staff for the long hours, the unseen preparation, the steady encouragement, and the daily investment they make in young lives. Strengthen them in their calling, encourage them when the work feels heavy, and remind them that what they do matters far beyond a single school year. And Lord, we recognize the responsibility placed before us as trustees. We are entrusted with the stewardship of public resources, of policy, and the direction of this district. Grant us wisdom, help us to listen well, think clearly, and speak with care. Let our work tonight honor the trust that has been placed in us and serve the students, teachers, and families who depend on these decisions. In your name we pray, amen. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one indivisible.
Thank you. We've come out of executive session with no action to follow, and we will now go into special recognitions.
Good evening, board members and Dr. Crawford. Tonight, we want to begin with the February student recognitions and the students of the month. The elementary student of the month is Savannah Tippett, a third grade student at Woods Elementary School. The secondary student of the month is Brandon Walker, a senior at Tyler High School. And we have a really nice video for y'all to watch these two amazing students.
The heart of our hometown beats strong in Tyler ISD, where students are reaching goals, breaking barriers, and shaping the future. Their journeys may look different, but together they are showing us that next is now. Let's celebrate their achievements as we continue leading the way in Texas education. Roses are red, violets are blue. We love our elementary student of the month for February, and we know you will too.
Hi, I'm Savannah. I'm the student of the month.
Celebrating Savannah!
This sweet young lady exemplifies courage, determination, and an inspiring love of learning each and every day. Despite undergoing chemotherapy for a tumor on her brainstem, Savannah approaches school with an attitude that can only be described as extraordinary.
She doesn't stop at anything. It is so inspiring to see how she wants to continue on going no matter what her situation is. So I am inspired. Coach Keeling is inspired. The kids yesterday were flocking towards her, cheering. We have a basketball goal that is a little bit shorter, so we moved it away to where she could still shoot. And she made a three-pointer yesterday, and the crowd went wild. It was amazing. So that little girl is an inspiration to all. We love you, Savannah.
She never lets her challenges define her or slow her down. In fact, she is often the first to ask her homebound teacher for more work. She is eager to learn new things and challenge herself. Her perseverance and curiosity set an example for her peers.
It has been a joy to have Savannah back into school. You can definitely tell the atmosphere of the room has just become something that is overwhelming since she's been back in class. She did have something that could have set her back, and it has just blossomed her into who she is, and I love having her in class, and she's amazing to have as a student.
Now let's pass the baton to our district secondary student of the month.
I'm Brandon Walker, and I'm the district secondary student of the month.
Brandon is an accomplished musician and head drum major for the Tyler High Big Blue Band. He consistently upholds high standards both on and off the field, and his leadership positively influences the overall culture and success of the program.
The hopes is to come back and teach here as a band director, or if not here, just anywhere. I want to develop a band program, at least maybe from a small one to a big one, or maybe take a big one and turn it better. But the dream is to come back here and teach.
Academically, Brandon maintains AB honor roll status and is a TJC Promise student, successfully balancing rigorous coursework with the demands of a highly visible leadership role.
He started off as a section leader last year and then became a drum major this year, our head drum major this year. He led our band to a sweepstakes in the UIL fall season, and he's very helpful, always helps us, directors, and all his other peers.
Let's honor these remarkable students as we celebrate the outstanding achievements happening across our district. Their success stories remind us of the strength, dedication, and spirit that define Tyler ISD. This recognition is proudly brought to you by Christus Trinity Mother Francis Health System, partners in supporting the bright future of our students and community.
Okay, so now we'd like to welcome Savannah to come to the front of the boardroom. You can go take a picture if you want. You can go take a picture. You can go take a picture if you want. And now we would like to invite Brandon to come to accept his recognition. And next, we would like to congratulate Keelan Patton, a sixth grade student at Caldwell Arts Academy, for her artwork titled Swimming Swede, being selected to be part of the 25-26 Texas Art Education Association's Youth Art Month exhibition. So you can come on up. Gonna go up. I hope I pronounced that right. Is it Swede? Is it? It's sweet. Okay. Okay. Okay, next we have our elementary teacher of the month, and it is Christian Armstrong Poole from Dixie Elementary School. And her principal had a couple of things to say about her. So first, she said she is an exceptional life skills teacher who meets students where they are and challenges them to exceed their goals. Her classroom is a safe, supportive environment where students feel valued, empowered, and encouraged to take risks. The growth of her students reflects her dedication, patience, and unwavering belief in their abilities. She maintains a strong partnerships with families and supports students' well-being beyond the school day by attending activities, spending time with them, and coaching them in specialized areas. Always willing to step in, Mrs. Poole supports her colleagues with, well, I'm a little tongue twisted tonight, so sorry. Colleagues with a positive servant hearted attitude. She collaborates seamlessly with the life skills team, treating all students as her own. Her passion, professionalism, and commitment to her students, families, and colleagues truly set her apart. And this is cool. And next, we have our secondary teacher of the month, Sharmesia Jackson from Tyler High School. And here are a few words from her principal. Ms. Jackson leaves Tyler High's Future Business Leaders of America chapter with professionalism and pride, growing membership over the past 3 years to a record number of 41 members in 25-26. Under her leadership, the chapter earned a city proclamation and the keys to the city. She was named a Silver Champion chapter at the 24-25 FBLA National Leadership Conference and earned all 23 of the 23 contestants that went awards at the Area 6 Leadership Conference. And they're going to advance in March for the state conference. Should come up. And that's all the recognitions we have.
We've already scored three in 13 minutes. Who walked? Okay, we're going to move on to the rest of our meeting. So those of y'all that are here for special recognitions, if y'all will exit through the doors. Up next, we have public participation. We are now at the scheduled time on our agenda for public comment. The board wishes to hear your thoughts and concerns. As per board policy, all speakers must have submitted a speaker participation form at least 10 minutes prior to the start of our regular session. Tonight, we have one individual signed up. You will have 3 minutes. Reverend Curry, you are up.
All right, I want to say good evening to Dr. Crawford and this board and to all of you that are here. My name is Reverend Rodney C. Curry, and I am the proud father of 2 graduates of Tyler ISD and one that will soon graduate on next year. And so to some, one particularly I'm known as May 22nd, and so I am glad to be here. Tonight I come with no accusations. I come to just raise awareness. There's an American writer and civil rights activist named James Baldwin, and he says, not everything that is faced can be changed, but nothing can be changed until it is faced. On February the 9th, the teachers and staff of Bolton Middle School was given a notice that there would be a principal change. In that, though, I have concerns that the timing of that announcement heightens anxiety, certainly at a time where we're preparing students for testing. And so I want to express, while that change is being made, that to consider that timing has placed, I think, them in a different and precarious position. Right now, though, at the secondary level, now with this change, is going to mean that there are no minority male principals at the secondary level. If you include RISE, then we have one. But this, actually, what this does now, this absence of minority leadership on this level now means that there are no men that are minorities that will be represented here for our secondary students. And these are all campuses, majority of these campuses are minority majority. And so, in concluding with that, a district's priorities, as you understand, can't just be revealed in your mission statement, just in your letters and all of that, in your staffing, but it's got to show up in the people that we place at the head of leadership. As we all know, leadership matters. Scripturally, the Bible says in Luke 12:48 that to whom much is given, much is required. And so I embark upon you all, certainly to Dr. Crawford, and I want to say this publicly. Every time I've called Dr. Crawford, he's answered. We've talked candidly, and the conversation has been certainly one that's been productive. But I just want to challenge you all as we close with this, that with influence comes responsibility. With authority comes accountability. As we move forward, I pray that God would give you wisdom in the things that we do, and also that our Northside campuses, they deserve our urgency all through the years. Our students deserve representation, and this district has both the power and responsibility to act. So I pray that God would lead you in that direction. God bless you.
Thank you. Next up, we have continuous improvement in student outcomes. First up is early literacy update.
Per your board monitoring calendar, we were going to have Rachel Sherman, who is one of our school improvement officers, that will be presenting along or supporting the presentation of Dr. James Curitan, Executive Director of Assessment and Analysis and Accountability, and whatever his title is this year. So, Dr. Curitan, we're going to turn over to you, to Ms. Sherman, for this presentation of our early literacy numeracy update, M-Class, and iReady results for the middle of the year. Here we go.
All right, thank you, Dr. Crawford. Good evening, board. We are going to talk through our early literacy, early numeracy results, which is our M-Class assessment or iReady assessment, and we'll just jump right in. We'll start with M-Class, which is our kindergarten through second grade reading screener. The teachers administer it, just as a reminder, 3 times per year. We have beginning, middle, and end of the year, so you'll see the beginning and middle of the year data on your screen. It's cohort data, meaning it's the same group of kids, and you'll just see the percent of students that are proficient at the beginning of the year versus the middle of the year. And so you can see, especially in kindergarten, we're seeing lots of growth. We did have our kindergartners start a little higher this year, and they're at this point they're higher than they were. We have a larger student percent of the students performing better this year than we did last year. First and second are also tracking in that direction. So a lot of positive progress so far in our M-Class data. You can see here we broke down the same information, but just by demographic. And this is also cohort data, so students are only included if they were here for beginning and middle of the year screening. And you can just compare it to last year and kind of get a feel for where things are. And then this slide, we'll just break it down by skill. So each group of students is assessed based on certain skills in the grade level. And so you can kind of see where everybody was at the beginning of the year through middle of the year at this point. If there's a dash, students were not assessed on that particular skill. Okay, we'll transition to iReady. iReady is our 3 times per year diagnostic that helps us understand where students are and provides a personalized path to help students continue their learning throughout the school year. So first, we're just going to talk through growth, which is the percent of students that have already made 1 year's worth of progress. So you'll see it by grade level and by subject. And again, the numbers look a little low, but I just want to remind you, it's making one full year's worth of progress to this point. If we look at the same information by demographic, you can see that here. And then the last way we'll present some of this to you is just to show you how we performed last year versus this year, and then also ourselves compared to the state and other districts that look like us and also give iReady. First, you can just see that first column compares us to last year, and in most areas, all areas, we're either at or above where we were last year. So last year we had a really good year, and it looks like we're tracking in that direction again this year so far. The two columns to the right just indicate how we're performing relative to the state and to comparison districts as a whole. And you can see generally we are doing well, especially in our early literacy, all the way up through 4th grade. We're really kind of standing out there. I know there is a dip in 8th grade. I will tell you, just with all the other data we're tracking, we still feel like 8th grade is going to perform well. We don't see any other indications that we're falling behind there. And then here's our math data presented the same way. Similar to reading, we're basically at or above where we were last year at this time of year. And then again, I would point out kinder through 5, we really see some improvement in math compared to some of our counterparts that we're able to line up side by side with.
So you're saying we have a chance in 7th grade math?
We have a chance.
Okay. It's been the bane of our existence.
That's right. With that, we can answer any questions y'all may have.
Thank you. Any comments, questions?
Just a general comment. As always, I track these things pretty close. And I'm proud to see that we are definitely doing much better than we've done in the past in regards to at this point, and I'm very pleased with that. I'd love to see positive things, and especially outperforming the state and the district, you know, because I know we're better, so I expect that.
So in their packets, they've got tables for every campus as well, and obviously the public presentation, we don't go by there. So, Board, if you have any questions in regard to that, please reach out to me. I'll get you in contact with the correct individual, probably that guy standing right in front of us, or perhaps Dr. Gropel as well.
Anybody else? Thank you. Next up, we have advanced placement, dual credit, and certification update.
Executive Director, Dr. Kristen Walls. Executive Director of College and Career, Dr. Kristen Walls will now be presenting the advanced placement, dual credit, and our certifications update. A very important part of our overall accountability is college and career military readiness. She took the baton from a Gary Brown, who did a great job. Dr. Walls has done a great job and has really supported our campuses in regards to the CCMR, especially at the secondary level. Dr. Walls?
Good evening, Board of Trustees and Dr. Crawford. Good to see you. So I come here tonight. I'm going to push this back a little hot mic. So we're talking a little bit about CCMR, College Career and Military Readiness. So goal 3, currently what we have as our goal that our graduates are college career military ready to increase from 77.4 to 86.7 by June 2029. Happy to announce as of today, right now we're on track for 85%. So definitely making those strides really close to what our goal is for 2029. Just a reminder, I've talked about this a few times with the college career military readiness indicators. There really hasn't been much of a change currently, except for this year we have for career readiness, they have to be what's known as a completer, which is 3 or more courses for 4 or more credits, plus an industry-based certification. So over the years, I've kind of told you a little bit how we're chasing a little bit different target each time. But college readiness remains the same, and then military ready for this year, as long as they enlist, and that will be changing for next year with the addition for ROTC into the CTE programs. So this is always lag data. So for the 24-25 Texas Academic Performance Report, it always shows the previous year. So we can take a look at 2023, we were at 77%, and then in 2024 at 86.4. We only have predictions of what the state actually takes, but last year we should be around 89%.
Dr. Walls, go back to that slide
Sure.
there. So that 86.4 scores what for us on CCM?
What is it for the accountability?
Yeah.
So in domain 1, it has 40%. So STAR for our district is equal to 40% of CCMR. And so that makes a huge difference district-wide. Plus it's also in domain 2 and domain 3. So each of those areas it hits. For the high schools, though, it is also very similar to the district where 40% is STAR and 40% is CCMR, at least for domain 1, and then on the other 2 domains as well. So the more we can increase our CCMR, the better off that all of our accountability is. So thankfully, and with a lot of efforts between our principals and my team, we really started making strides to get that as high as we possibly can, which is good for kids. Our advanced placement exams, last year, we had 1,235. This year, we're on track for 1,597. So the number of students that scored was 71% with 877. If we keep that same amount percentage-wise, we'll have 1,133 students. But I'm never satisfied with just keeping things, so I'm looking forward to doing even more than that.
And that 71% represents an outpacing of the state, correct?
Right.
In like 19 out of 20.
It was
20 tests? 20, no, it was lower than that, 23 or 24 this year, I think.
Correct, out of 23.
Yeah. Or
So
maybe
we had like
17 out of 22.
Yeah.
Regardless, we outperform in nearly 82%. We outperform all public, or the state average for public, charter, and private schools in regards to our kids scoring 3 or better in AP, right?
We do very well.
Okay, and some people say that public schools aren't college preparatory schools and that they must take a voucher to go to a private school to get college preparatory, correct?
We have a very strong college prep
Very good.
program.
All right. It's like
in
make
Tyler
sure
ISD.
Reverend Mason's in the crowd, Reverend Curry's in the crowd. I just want to remind people of that.
Very strong on both. So no matter what high school you attend,
there you go.
We're college and crew ready.
There you go.
Our dual credit enrollment continuously is increasing, and you might see a little even more. One of the things that we used to have for college readiness was college prep courses. They only have a few now. We're not using that as much anymore starting for next year. So you'll probably see an increase in dual credit enrollment. I looked at the preliminary numbers and I looked for public speaking, and we have like 91 students already for next year, and we just started that dual credit. So it's going to be continuously increasing. And then our A through F certifications earned, 24-25, we had 1476. That's industry-based certifications that students can go out and get a job right out of high school or help them with their portfolios as they go on to college. And currently, we're at 1250 for a class of 2026.
So we're 220 behind. Do we have
early.
enough time in 4 months to be able to recoup that 220?
Oh, for sure. We just started testing in January.
There you go.
So. And any questions about CCMR?
Thank you. Anybody?
Make a comment, kind of along what Dr. Crawford said. Both of my kids went to school here, and as far as anywhere else in the county, I think we have the best advanced academics of any other district. You know, other districts may offer things like ag, right? But the college credit that my kids came out with, just really a testament to what we've been doing.
Well, thanks to the community, they provided us over 10 years ago now, that Career Technology Center. And then in 2022, they provided us Early College High School, an actual facility, but the program was already in place for the last decade. So a lot of success goes back towards the community and what they were able to provide us, and reaping the benefit. You know, when you do bond elections, people like to say the outcomes got to be there before we'll reward you with that. In some cases, that's the case, but this is one instance to where those two facilities really spurred the increase in success for our kids, and very thankful for the community for that.
Most definitely. And I'm staying here because I have the next presentation
Perfect.
for
Next
competitive
up-
academics.
Next up, we have competitive academics.
I'll introduce
with Dr.
this.
Wolf.
We talk a lot about athletics and even fine arts here, but we certainly have academicians that we love celebrating in the forms of sometimes mathletes. But we also like to report that publicly because it's important to us to compete within our academics. So Dr. Walls, why don't you give us a brief update in regard to that?
Sure, it is pretty brief. Currently, we're in competitive season right now. We had the UIL State Congress tournament, and we had 2 students that went there. They were participants in that particular tournament. The debate on the 29th, we had 6 participants, and we actually have 2 teams going to state. So both were from Tyler Legacy, so very proud of that. I will hopefully get to bring some more announcements coming soon. CTSO, I know that we just celebrated Miss Jackson, and a large number of that 61 up there are hers that are all going to state. So proud of the work of all these teachers that are working to create opportunities for competitiveness and employability skills, all of the above. And then these are just more of dates. February 28th, we're going to have our middle school academic meet at the CTC. In March, UIL State debate. We have our CTSO state contests. Currently, right now, we already have 32 ready to roll. And in March, elementary UIL, we're going to have that at Tyler Legacy again, on March 31st. And then on the district academic and speech meets, we have 44. So those are already signed up to head to district. So looking for some gold medals and silver as they can bring that home this time. And as you can see, the rest later, of course, are going to be regional and state academics. We do have 2 students going to nationals with DECA. So that will be happening in April. And then, of course, our annual Junior Achievement Stock Market Challenge. We had several participants this year. You can see the high numbers from all of our high schools. We had a few middle schools participating as well this year, just a few groups. But that is our first place team from Tyler Legacy this year. And that was my brief update.
Before you have any questions, board, one thing we didn't capture on here were our standout students at Birdwell. As far as the
spelling bee.
Spanish language spelling bee, we actually had 3 of those students that qualified for state in El Paso. When is that competition? First week in June. So we're excited about seeing our kiddos go all the way to El Paso. 14 hours away? Somehow we'll get them there, right? Okay, looking forward to that. Maybe they can show that we can actually spell in Spanish here behind the pine curtain. So excited about that. It didn't make it here, but we wanted to make sure we champion that as well.
Any questions or comments? Thank you, Dr. Wall.
Thank you.
Next up, we have business, legal, finance consent agenda. We will pull item C, gifts and donations. Any other items need to be pulled?
Just before you get to that, hey, item F, the big celebration, Mr. Newsom, we have been working for 6 years, right? Okay, 6 years to get a pedestrian traffic signal on the north-northwest loop 323, affectionately known as the Artist Newsom Project. Internally. And forever, if you've driven the loop at Tyler High during arrival or dismissal, y'all know there are kids everywhere, and we can only do so much once they get off our property. But the best thing we can do is work with the state They've awarded it to us to get an actual pedestrian stoplight like you see over there at UT Tyler, for them to stop traffic on the loop. That's a state highway to get kids across the other side. So right there where that north gate's at is approximately where it's going to be located. Is that right? Mills, Destry? Okay, good. Just want to make sure we say that before they actually take action on that.
I want to thank
Agent Mills-Slagle.
Mills.
He said my man.
He's been a champion for that project, and he's worked very hard and diligently. At one time, we thought it was going to not go anywhere, and he continued to pursue it. And I'm very appreciative of that, and I think the parents are as well.
That's right.
Very good. Can I get a motion for items A through G with the exception of C?
So moved.
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, next up, we have the curriculum instruction consent.
Nope.
No.
Oh,
We got an
I'm
action
so
item.
sorry.
Gifts
We
and
have
donations.
gifts and donations.
Hey, on page 20 of your packet, as they scroll to that, they already have, we have two large gifts and donations. The benevolent culture of this community is incredible to support our students and our staff into doing cool things for our kids that our normal budgets don't allow. Tonight, we have with us one of our favorite sponsors, one of our, anchor sponsors for Tyler ISD from Cooperative Teacher Credit Union, CTCU. We have to the Tyler ISD communications for district events, for things like Teacher of the Year and Convocation. Those are not taxpayer dollars. They go to fund those incredible galas and events. Those are actually dollars that CTCU provides for us, and we're so appreciative of that, for $38,800. That's incredible. We also have another donation. We also have an opportunity for a picture, a big check picture after this, right? Okay, good. But also with the R.W. Fair Foundation, Bob Garrett and company, for $15,000 to help support our Tyler ISD athletic department for its youth basketball league. That is something that's pretty unique to Tyler ISD, that we run our own stuff as far as little dribblers go. It's the way that I grew up here in East Texas, and it's a pretty neat little thing for 8 weeks out of the community where you have a lot of mentoring going on to the youth of our community. I think over 600 participants on an annual basis, maybe even 700, over 700 participants on an annual basis in our youth basketball league for 2 straight months, thanks to the R.W. Fair Foundation, among others. So there's your 2 gifts and donations. We want to make sure we celebrate them, and y'all will have an opportunity for a big old picture after you take action.
Great. Can I get a motion for gifts and donations to
I
approve?
move that we approve the gifts and donations, and just special thanks to both of those groups. And the Fair Foundation is amazing. They're really a testament to generosity in our community.
Absolutely. Can I get a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, motion carries. All right,
Hold
picture.
up.
Make sure you tell Timmy, y'all got to clap. It's awesome.
Okay, next up, curriculum instruction consent agenda. Item A.
Yeah, you're going to address both of these individually. And before you, you have Senate Bill 11 for consideration, to where the state of Texas. What happened to that? What was on the screen? Why did it? Never mind. Let me get to my. I don't have my glasses on. Man, these are good. Senate Bill 11, passed by the 89th Texas Legislature, is now codified in the Education Code, Section 25. It requires each school board to take a record vote on whether to create a policy on authorizing a campus of the district, in our case, the campuses of the district, to establish a period of prayer or reading of the Bible or religious text. I'm going to go ahead and read the administrative consideration on this, and then I'm going to let you guys haggle this out. Tyler ISD administration welcomes the legislation's intent as an opportunity to provide an inlet of moral and ethical support for students and staff as a response to the increasing cultural pressures and societal decay children, adolescents, and our young adults are exponentially experiencing outside of and bringing into our schools. While the legislation aligns with Tyler's and East Texas expectations for how its public schools should operate, and contrarian to other districts, Tyler ISD administration has elevated concern well past intent when contemplating the execution demands as required within statute.
Very good. Any comments, or do I have a motion to adopt a resolution?
I move that we do not adopt this resolution.
All in favor, say aye.
We need a second.
You need a second?
Oh, second.
I'll second it.
Do we need discussion?
Any further discussion?
I'd like to say a couple things on it. I think we already provide time for our children, administrators. We pray at this meeting every time I've been to it. So I think we already do that. I think that this is going to be cumbersome and hard to administer. We've already got enough stuff going on. This again is one of those things that the legislature has done, and they push it back on us, thinking it's not going to affect us, but it's really cumbersome. It's not something that I would support. I think we already allow prayer in our schools, and we do it from this dais, so I am a no vote on this.
Okay.
Madam Vice President. Just to echo that, I talked to several church leaders in my area and got their feedback, and they were along the same lines. Let's us handle educating kids and let the church handle the spiritual things. As Mr. Lisea said, our kids can come to see you at the poll every single day if they wanted to, and I'll defend that right, but also think, we can let other schools be a pioneer in this, and we can be a settler. Let's see what happens. And we can always, if the community wants us to come back to it, we can bring it up later and opt in, opt out as we see fit, if I understand it correctly. So I also think we should just not burden the administration with this.
Anybody else?
Yeah, a couple of things come to mind here. Prayer's a good thing. Just because this board may not vote to add this resolution to what we do, it doesn't mean that we don't support prayer. But I was looking today, and, when you talk about prayer, if you look at Matthew 6, and when you pray, do not be like the hypocrites, for they love to pray standing in the synagogues and on the street corners to be seen by men. I tell you the truth, they have received their reward in full. But when you pray, go into your room, close the door, and pray to your Father who is unseen. That seems like a very private act. And there are many ways to pray, but, I think making that put into our day as a period, I'm with the other board members. I think there's time in the day for people to practice their faith. And one of the things that in my 21 or 22 years on the board, I've never had one person tell me that they were not able to practice their faith the way they wanted to in Tyler ISD. So it seems like maybe the legislature is giving us a solution in search of a problem here in Tyler ISD. I can't speak for the other districts, and there may very well be, an attack going on in other places. But I think the way we've been doing things, I feel like we've got control of our situation and we understand what our community expects of us. And I see and was fortunate enough to have dozens of teachers and coaches live out their faith when I was attending Tyler ISD, and I'm so thankful that they did every single day. They didn't need a period to do it, they just did it. So I support not voting that in right now.
Artis?
I agree with everything that's been said. I think that when you look at the situation, we do allow students, like everybody else has said, the opportunity to pray within the school. We, as a dais, we get attacked 2 or 3 times a year because we pray before we start our meetings. So we are definitely in favor of prayer and making sure that's a part of it. You know, we talk about this dialogue of prayer taken out of schools and how it affected the schools. And I think that when you really look at it, it wasn't prayer taking out of the schools that made a difference. It was prayer taking out of the homes. I think the homes were not doing the things that they were doing back then with prayer. And I think that's part of the problem now. And until we get it in the homes, the schools can provide all the opportunities in the world, and the legislature is going to tell us how we should do it. I don't agree with that. I think that we do allow that at this time, and I don't see the necessity of the legislature telling us how we should do it.
Okay, anybody else? So we have a motion and a second to not adopt a resolution. All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed? So the motion carries. Okay, B, consider approval of resolution.
Hold on a second, you got an attorney raising a hand.
Oh, yes. Yes. Thank you.
Got that, Ms. Orr? Okay. There you go.
Okay, next, consider approval of resolution for application to delay the implementation of teacher certification requirements until the beginning of 2029-2030 school year.
Page 31 of your packet provides us an opportunity to discuss, as we have discussed here for the last 10 years, the soft landing of meeting legislation that is due by the 2029-2030 school year. Recent legislation, the 89th legislature provided local board approve a resolution to delay the implementation of that teacher certification requirements. Y'all get biannual, twice a year, updates on District of Innovation certifications as far as this school district provides. And tonight, we actually have a presentation for you from Sherry Barbary Taylor, Sherry Taylor, I call her, the Executive Director of Human Resources that frequently presents to y'all in regard to those certifications challenges. So let's go ahead and get started with this presentation so that y'all can consider this resolution.
Good evening, Dr. Crawford and Board of Trustees. As we know, House Bill 2 stated that all K-5 reading and math teachers have to be certified by the end of this year. And then K-12 core/foundational, we call it core, they call it foundational, core content teachers have to be certified by the end of next year. But they now give us the opportunity to request delaying the teacher certification requirements. To do so, we have to have 3 aspects into our proposal: develop transition plan, identify our educator, our EPP programs that we're partners with, and review uncertified staffing trends. If you look on page 2 of the proposal, chart 1, that is simply our number of core teachers, uncertified teachers. It does not include our entire DOI teaching staff. So I need to make that clear. The number you see tonight is going to be different from the number you see next month. This is just our core teacher, uncertified teachers in core content areas. On chart 2 is our staffing trends. We average about 60 new hires of uncertified teachers within the last 3 years. That is just new hires of uncertified teachers for each specific year. It doesn't include the previous years in that number, just new hires. If you look on page 3 of the proposal under chart 2, this is our transition plan. Our goal is to reduce our number of core content teachers and certified teachers by 35 every year, at least. It doesn't mean that's our stopping point. The more we reduce, the better we are. If we do that, then we get to 0 by 2030 school year. We also are going to focus our recruitment efforts on specifically looking at certified teachers. Right now, and you'll see at the end of this presentation, sometimes that's a little hard to come by, but our EPPs are also having to work up ways to where our teachers come to us where they have an intern certification now, as opposed to they didn't have to before. Now, if you go to page 5 of the proposal, this is something a little bit extra that we're putting in. Our principals can request a 1-year extension for our uncertified teachers in core content. However, for that to even be considered, our teacher would have to meet those following guidelines. They have to complete all coursework in an EPP. They have to have at least tried one test. There's things that we're pretty strategic on and we're pretty strict on, so we're not going to sit and approve every request that comes our way. HR and district leaders will go through those requests and approve those that meet these qualifications and still stick to our goal of having 35 less each year of uncertified core content teachers. Again, that's additional information that we are sending to the state to show that we're serious about getting certified teachers in here. I do want to point out, and this is a big reason why I'm here tonight, because we talked about K-5 reading and math teachers have to be certified by the end of the year. I would like you to look at this chart. For an individual to become EC-6 core subject certified, they have to take 3 tests. That's your PPR, your STR, and your core content. However, core content has 9 different test sections attached to it. They have to pass each and every section to get certified with core content. That's a lot for them to do in 1 year with this being announced this summer.
So, Ms. Taylor, if Marty goes and takes the core content test and I pass everything but physical education, what happens?
You have to retake the physical education part of that test.
But I can go teach the other portions of the test?
No, sir. You do not get certified until you pass
It was a softball.
everything.
I knew that. I can't believe that I've been able to do all that, but I can't pass the PE portion of it.
I would be surprised.
But sorry, sir, you cannot teach reading for us, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
That is why we're coming to you to consider and approve the proposal, so we can do an extension and delay it, but we will meet the criteria by 2930.
Good. Hey, board, you know, there's been a lot of people that have tied this knot of teacher certification. Been a lot of political rhetoric, demagoguery, got it in. And that knot has gotten tied pretty tight. They're trying to unravel this knot by tying another knot, period. And so we can make all the statements up here that we want to make, and we want to have certified teachers. We believe in that. But to get there, we can't do it overnight. They're going to have to figure out some other ways to make teaching attractive again. And certainly we're going to do what we can here in Tyler with some grow your own things, but that's not going to happen overnight either. Partnerships with UT Tyler, certainly, that y'all were presented on earlier, is going to help as well, but that's not going to happen overnight. So you've got it in front of you, and there's my opening statement for y'all's discussion.
Okay.
Go ahead.
In conjunction with that, I've been one concerned about the number of uncertified teachers we've had. I think that we've done a pretty good job in trying to accomplish that. Once again, I think the legislature don't know what we be doing, and to indicate a time frame on this that's unrealistic for anyone to accomplish within a year for everyone to be certified within your district is not understanding the system. And once again, people making decisions that don't know the system is inadequate. So I definitely agree with the extension. I agree with the plan to try to eliminate them, of course, but the extension is definitely needed because there's no way anybody can accomplish this.
Madam Vice President, I think I've been on record ever since I've gotten back on this board that I'm not a big fan of the DOI. I have very serious concerns about the uncertified teachers. I think the research has shown us coming out of Texas Tech, especially in these core areas, that a kiddo that has a teacher that is not certified in that subject area is at a disadvantage. I pat the administration on the back for the efforts they've made. I see this plan and it looks like a realistic plan to reduce that over the years. But every year that goes by that you have a kid in that class with an uncertified teacher, it just puts that kiddo at a disadvantage. I'm not a fan of this, and it almost feels like, you know, the state tells us, okay, by this date, you got to have them all certified. Oh, but you can now apply for an extension. Well, what's to say they're not going to push it out even 2 more years? I think we've got to set goals and timeframes that are realistic, obviously, but that we actually apply on ourselves. Because if we say, okay, well, they're giving us till 2028, but you can get a 2-year extension, well, what's to say that another one doesn't come out and then we push it back even further? That's even more kids going through our system that don't have a certified teacher. And I'm not talking about uncertified like I had in the past, as far as you got somebody who's teaching PE or something. These numbers we're presented today are in our core areas. You know, the reading, writing, mathematics, the basic fundamental skills that they need to have to compete in this economy. These kids are going to graduate and they're going to be at a competitive disadvantage because it's a global economy. I'm a no vote on this. I think we need to set a date, apply that date to ourselves, have some discipline, and have a plan to get there. And if we don't get close enough, then maybe we consider that extension. I don't know if there's a time frame or when this expires that we can ask for this, but it's almost like, hey, I'm gonna lose some weight, but I'm gonna wait till next year. No, we need to get ahead of this. We need to get started on it now. So those are my comments. Those are my concerns. I guess what part of that was a question is, can we act on it this later if we need it? Would be my question to administration, but I'm a no on this one.
The window closes this March, so right now there is no later.
Thank you.
So, Ms. Taylor, let's fast forward to 2030. And supply and demand hasn't kept up with what the state of Texas needs, much less Tyler ISD needs. What's going to happen? I mean, what does that look like?
Well, I can't say what the state's gonna do.
We're gonna post vacancies.
We're gonna
We
post-
can't hire someone.
Then we put subs in there.
We put subs in there. What's the requirement for those subs? What do they gotta have? Education?
They just have to have 60 hours of college credit to sub as a teacher.
Okay. So they haven't completed their 4-year degree to where you could bring them on board and then maybe work with them to try to get teacher certificate, which is what we've been doing.
That's what we've been doing.
Right.
Mhm.
But we're gonna go back to what we had back in 2013, 2014, 2015, where we had, well, right now, you've talked about how many core content teachers do we have right now that are?
140.
140. So if we were going to say this is 2000 or 2030, that we could have 140 open vacancies because we couldn't find the certified teachers. Because we do prefer certified teachers.
Correct.
And yes, you can probably knock that number down with some type of incentivization, right?
Correct, we can.
But we've had that. Ron, you weren't with HR 10 years ago. No. But when I had a principal at one of our comprehensive high schools used to tell me how many substitute teachers, or how many openings she had.
On a daily basis?
On a daily basis. What were we running over there then?
We went from, we may have had 25 to 45 vacancies.
That's what she was indicating. But how many? What was real?
I would say 17.
Okay.
Vacancies on a daily basis, especially in the busy season of athletics, because you have to cover classes during that time. So that adds to it when you have people out. But just typical day, I would say, 15 to 17 you would have on a normal daily basis, and that's subs.
That's subs though, but as far as vacancies go, we were carrying double digits in vacancies at John Tyler,
Right.
being full disclosure there, and then a few at Legacy, or whatever it was called back then.
Right.
Yesterday. Don't know what's gonna be called tomorrow. But anyways, in saying that, you're looking at some increased vacancies is what we're gonna look at. We're gonna be carrying vacancies.
Oh, no
And right
doubt.
now, how many vacancies do we have district-wide?
We have 4.
4 in our, in a comprehensive classroom. There's some special education,
There's couples, well, special education, we're down to 1, so we're looking at 4
yeah.
core
with-
content.
Under the current deal. So, if the community's gonna be okay with that again, we just need to make sure we embark back here on February the 16th to understand that we've had this conversation on that. I mean, I get it. I don't want uncertified teachers in our classrooms either. But until we get teachers certified in the state again to fill these things, we're gonna have some issues here in 3 years. And so, we will do what we can to fill every one of those positions with a certified teacher as appropriate.
Just a
Go ahead.
clarifying question. So right now, when is the deadline?
The deadline's in March.
In March. So by March, we need to have all certified teachers.
No, my apologies. The deadline to submit the delay is in March, and you can, right now, there's not another date you can submit again.
Okay. So no, if we don't do the delay, at
Right,
what
so
point do we need to?
K through 5 reading and math teachers have to be certified by the end of this year.
By the end of, and if they're not?
If they're not, then you're looking at subs.
But as far as anything from the state, so we just can't hire an uncertified teacher. We could hire somebody that was teaching 5th grade as a sub. Then, right, that same teacher could stay.
They could be
They
a
would just be a
sub.
sub.
Yeah, you could look at some type of compensation structure that a degreed individual that may be showing proof toward that to be a long-term sub in a class, because we do provide that. You'd look at some compensation to make it attractive for that degreed professional to want to work for us. If not, they may choose another industry to go work in. So that's kind of what we're up against, because.
You run the risk of.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Run the risk of certainly losing some of your better teachers that are coming away with student success in their classrooms that are outperforming their peers that may have the piece of paper to say that they are certified. So you absolutely run the risk of having those folks move next door to a district that's going to get the extension and go to work there. So we run the risk of doing damage to the students of Tyler ISD by not going forward with this recommendation. That's my opinion.
So just to clarify, the state says we need to have everybody certified, but if we don't, then we just have subs. So they really didn't, in my opinion, do anything to help us out with this. I could be wrong, but.
Madam President.
Are they helping us out?
Madam Vice President, I think you're assuming that there's going to be a max exodus of uncertified teachers when this thing triggers. And like Trustee Leverett was saying is, I think that there's a workaround there where you can keep those people on a long-term sub basis with the right compensation package. What I don't want to do is keep kicking the can down the road. And as the soup said, this problem was going on in 2013 and 2014. We talked about a pipeline to have teacher education, to have residency programs. Looking back, wish I'd have worked on it a lot harder in 2013 and 14. That's, 13 years ago. And we would have had a robust partnership with XYZ institution to get us those teachers. Some of this is the lack of interest in going into education for a number of reasons. I don't know that we can cure the world's woes at this dais, but I think we can set some reachable goals. I think these are reachable goals. I like the way the plan is. I just would like to see the time frame compressed. If you don't put pressure on people, including yourself, they're not going to meet those deadlines. They're not gonna check off those boxes. It's same with raising children, with negotiating deals. We've got to set some parameters and then apply those, or we're gonna be sitting here in 2013. Probably y'all will, I won't. in 2030 saying, why don't we have certified teachers at the levels we're supposed to? Well, because we didn't set a deadline and apply it. Those are my humble thoughts on this.
Do you think we'd be in this position to have to do a delay if the test requirements weren't so rigorous now that you have to pass every single?
I think we'd be better off if it wasn't so rigorous. And that's the problem. AC through 6, that's a lot they have to pass.
Yeah.
And those are the ones that are being hit this year alone.
Well, respectfully, I don't think so. I think the climate and the culture and the things that come out and the things that could consistently get thrown at public ed, along with funding issues, caused the black hole that is no one wanted to go and teach.
Yep.
It used to be that it was fairly livable. Let's say husband and wife chose to enter education. But the economy, guys, makes it hard to attain, where you don't have to go pick up a second or third job to make that happen, even for a married couple in education. It used to be that TRS was a very attractive thing to pull people into public education. Ms. Jackson and I are a lot closer to retirement than kids that are getting into the profession now, to where they've backed up that minimum age as far as having to retire, and a minimum age to retire, which I've got one now, but it's backed it up 13 years. You can retire at about 52, 53 now, somewhere in there. But now you start talking about you got to have a rule of 90, which we just got through. I'm rule of 80. So we keep kicking the can down the road. Now it makes sense because people are living longer. But we're taking some things that have incentivized and attracted people to the profession to where maybe you could retire at age 55 or 53 or 52 and even go do a second career to supplement that retired income. So I'm not arguing with either two of y'all. I just kind of respectfully disagree. Yes, the test is rigorous. They've made it even more difficult to get certified. But let's not forget how people have been getting elected here the last couple of rounds of statewide elections, local elections, and where public education sits on that. It's hard to convince my own kids to get into public education and follow their granddad and their grandma, their granddaddy and their oma and their dad into this profession, which is the greatest profession you can get in. So there's my soapbox right there. That's what's made it difficult, along with some of these other things that are going on. So whoever's watching out there, if you can change that stuff, I'm for you.
Okay,
Quick technical question. How are you to get certified? Let's say the goal is to get everyone certified. How much of it is certifying who we have and trying to prepare them to pass these tests, and how much is hoping that we find someone that we can bring in that's already certified?
Our goal right now is to focus on the ones that are biggest, is focus on the ones that we have here that we know we're doing a great job. We had 240 prep test sessions this past fall, and 31% of people registered and 77% of those actually attended the sessions. We do know that from the surveys and that they felt more confident going in testing. We've had some that have tested that were closer to passing than they ever were before, so they're not afraid to take it again now. So we know that that helped some, and we know that next year we're going to possibly provide it again. So it's getting them. We have, several that were afraid to get into an education prep program because they didn't know what to expect. It's now saying, you know what, just go for it, jump in and do it. And so they are looking into those programs now. We have more that are looking into it than did in the past. So they understand, they hear, they know. It's just a lot of anxiety towards what all has to be done. But we are focused on the ones that we have because we know them. We've trained them. They're doing a great job. So yes, let's focus on them getting certified. And of course, we are in hiring season and we are looking at talking to surrounding districts, individuals that we know and bringing them in that are certified.
Yeah, I think we kind of rely on y'all to tell us what the landscape really looks like. Like, what is it? Are there things you're not doing or we're not doing that could, you talk about prep courses. And we feel pretty good about our prep for our teachers to get certified because.
Yes, sir. We have several partners. So we We work with I Teach Texas. We work with Impact East Texas. We're working with 240 Prep Academy. I will say you'll see an MOU for Prep Academy in March, and they are actually to our employees saying, hey, we'll give you a discount. We'll help you get certified. You'll be paid up. It's a monthly payment as opposed to paying it all at the end. So you plan for it each month to help them with the certification. And then that test prep sessions that we did, we're actually gonna get a discount on. So now we can get more people in there. And that's the goal, is how many can we get in front to get this test prep, because the test is what's causing a lot of the anxiety right now.
There is an expense for the individual that's going to be certified, correct?
Yes, sir. They have to pay for their admission into the program, and then, of course, the steps that they have to complete with that program.
And if they want to do the 240 test, there's a cost to that as well, which, let's be honest, those that went to teacher school and paid the tuition to go get certified, I think it's probably fair that the individual employee has some skin in the game. So I know you're asking the question, do we need to look at maybe paying for these? I don't know, because you've got the traditionalists that have been out there that actually went to teacher school and got certified and paid the tuition. So I think it's fair that somebody puts skin in the game. And I think we can coach them and lead them to get there and partner with these individuals, the 240 Prep Academy that we have, or Impact East Texas, which is run out of the service center.
Correct.
So there's the state getting involved in this. You know, as far as our staff teaching them how to do it, man, we've got day-to-day operations to run our own teacher certification academy would be awfully difficult. We just need to be the liaison between these other resources that we have.
And our test prep sessions, they're actually free of charge to our Tyler ISD employees. So you don't have to be part of 240 to be in it. If any employees who need a test, it's free of charge to them.
Madam Vice President, question. Talk to me about alternative certification. You got a kid that comes out with a business degree, but I couldn't sell anything, so I want to teach. I want to teach a core subject. Alternative certification route, I'm assuming, in a core area?
Yes, sir. So they would have to join an educator prep program.
Right.
And now they'll have to get an intern certificate in order to be in the classroom to teach.
Right.
But they have to complete all their requirements with the educator prep program, because they have several modules they have to do. So they are back in school with this program. They complete all the modules, and then during this interim, usually they have their core content done to get an intern certificate, but then they have to take their PPR and STR as well.
I've met a few people who have the alternative certification, and they want to be in the teaching profession. What I'm getting at is the people who want to be certified, they'll get certified, whether it's 3 months, a year, or 3 years. They want to do this for a living. They want to be a professional, and they want to have that accreditation that their peers have. The other ones, they may not want to do that. They may just be happy in the classroom, and maybe they're doing a good job, like the soup says. I don't believe you have to have that little notice beside your name to do a good job, but the research has shown, it's pretty much out there, that the kid that is in a class with an uncertified teacher is at a disadvantage. And so, do we look at alternative certification things for those employees that may need that extra nudge, or do we try to go in another direction?
If they are good teachers, we want them to go to the alternative certification program. We want them to get in a program. If a teacher is going to come to me and say, I'm not going to get certified, then I'm saying, I'm sorry, my hands are tied at this point. You've just made your decision that you don't want to be a teacher anymore.
Or after year 3 of a probe certificate, or year 1, or year 2, DOI, if they're not getting the job done, we tell them to go to the house.
Yeah.
So there's that's kind of not in the plan too. I mean, there's the normal stuff that we go through every year at this time, whether or not we want to get married to somebody or not. and you know, deciding whether or not we're going to offer them a contract. So it's difficult. I get it. And I know there's a lot of feelings about this. And again, there's a lot of pressures and a lot of hurdles that we're having to overcome to be able to do this. And I mean, y'all tell us what you want to do, and we'll do it.
Just let me say one more time. I'm sorry. When do you have to send the paperwork in? You said March.
Yeah. March 15th, I believe, if I remember correctly.
Madam Chair. Once again, I agree with the plan because it is a workable plan. You know, I can't remember the exact number that you were talking about, decreasing the number of uncertified individuals from year to year during a 3-year period. And then I think that if the board, the people sitting here feel like we're not accomplishing that, we come up with alternatives and say that we want to reach our goal and we're not getting there, and come up with creative ways to do so. I think it becomes incumbent upon us as the board to, if we like the plan, a 3-year plan, and that's what we want in 3 years, that we encourage that and we monitor that. And when every year when we look at that number, we say if we're satisfied or not in the direction they're going. So that at the end of the 3 years, we will have that goal. And hopefully it'll be much less than what we have now, but we may not ever accomplish it based on what I'm hearing is simply because the individuals are not out there that's certified. We don't have enough being produced. So I think that we actually have a plan, a workable, realistic plan, but we have to just hold people accountable for that plan so that at the end of the 3 years, we're much closer to the goal of having none than we are right now.
How many per year?
At least 35.
Right, that's
okay.
Right.
For the secondary teachers, do you still, and it goes back to me, do you just have to take your professional one and then one content? Or do you have to take all 9 as if I want to teach high school history, do I have to take 9 tests?
If you're doing 4 through 8 history, you're taking the 4 through 8 history exam. And then, yeah, it's a lot different.
And 9, what about 9-12?
Then you take the 9-12 history exam.
So you got a geography, economics, so basically the old composite, your certified composite.
But like in the old days, if you didn't pass one portion of like remember they was broken up into like 4 sections? Eco, government, world, and maybe 5.
US, yeah.
World and US, and then
sociology,
about
psychology.
geography. That if you failed one of those, you still had to pass it to be certified. So it's still, the old social studies is still a composite social study, but history's history. And it's all bundled into one.
Yeah.
You know, it's funny. I know y'all have spent time. Y'all have worked hard tonight. It's been a good night. It's funny that we all go through Lone Star governance. And they, at least OG, AJ Craybill, what did he tell us? Don't focus on the inputs, but this is exactly what the legislature has done to y'all, is that you're focusing on the inputs. And you're spending a lot of time talking about that. And I understand that. It's a very important thing because there's been a lot of rhetoric and noise out there about DOI. But it's funny how they talk about inputs, outputs, and outcomes. And what did we spend 2 days in Kilgore on? And then y'all did it this summer, not as extreme, but it's about outcomes. And so we need to get better on our outcomes. And we're spending an awful lot of time on inputs because of what the legislature has asked us to do. So anyways, that's my 2 thoughts on that to close out the conversation from the administrative point of view.
Madam Vice President, I feel like we've discussed this quite thoroughly now, and I'm ready to approve the administration's recommendation. I make the motion too for implementation of the teacher certification requirements until the beginning of the 2029-2030 school year. I think our superintendent understands this is, if he believes that certified teachers equal better students, then, you know, this can be a priority going forward, but we need to do this. We need to delay this if we have to report in March.
Great, can I get a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye, or do I do
Aye.
discussion?
Aye.
Discuss.
Discussion.
I do?
Always, Robert's Rules of Order.
Sorry, any discussion? Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
I'm opposed.
The motion carries.
I'll abstain.
Okay,
One abstention.
all right.
Cody.
Class size update.
Dr. Lance Gropel will come provide us a class size update. Again, back to that last thing, we'll have frequent reports for y'all on that because we report this every, twice a year. And so that will be something that Ms. Taylor will be able to roll in to her frequent, reporting of, is to see what type of progress that we are making towards that, just like we report this twice a year. It is now time. Speaking of DOI, this is a DOI thing.
Yes, it is.
You have to report it here instead of turning it into the commissioner because the commissioner said, I don't want to mess with this stuff anymore. It's a local thing, so they're going to talk about it. So all in the number 18 students.
You got 2 pages there. There's 46 total students.
46 total students.
18
because you
in
got
bilingual.
18 in bilingual and 28 over there in monolingual. We've got Dr. Lance Gropel that's going to provide y'all a class size update.
Yeah, thank you, Board of Trustees. Dr. Crawford, in front of you, you have the numbers of class size updates where we're over that 22-to-1 threshold in the kindergarten through fourth grade classrooms. As Dr. Crawford alluded to, you get this data twice a year in October and in February. Numbers were higher in October than the numbers in front of you today. More classes, I think 8 more classes in October and 13 more students that were impacted by that. So numbers lower, obviously enrollment fluctuates throughout the year. That's an indication of this. This is not because we added additional classrooms. This is because of fluctuations in enrollment. I'm open to any questions you may have.
Any questions, comments?
Of course.
Of course.
This is another one of my agenda items in regards to class size. I definitely think class size make a difference considering the environment of the classroom at this point. And I think that the smaller the class size, the better it would be, the more you can control things. But along that fact, I've said that several times, but another aspect of it is the teacher's aides description and how they assist the teacher that they're helping. Do we specify or give any direction as to how these teachers' aides should be utilized in that individual classroom?
Yes, we do provide direction to the principal, who then, it's their job to work with that classroom teacher. Obviously, if we're disseminating a paraprofessional in a kindergarten classroom, their roles and responsibilities are going to look a little bit different than if they're in a fourth grade classroom, just because of the age and maturity of the students. So principals are going to work directly with the teacher and utilize those paraprofessionals based off of what's needed with the student group. It's going to vary from group to group, but the expectation is they're working in that classroom with that teacher, providing the supports that the principal and the teacher feel like are most impactful for the students in that classroom.
Okay, so because I know that some teachers' aides are used simply as aid assistants and not helping to free up the teacher's time so that they can actually help those individuals that are behind academically. Mm-hmm. Instead, the teacher's aides have been utilized running copies, doing menial tasks from my aspect in regards, instead of helping with the academic or freeing up the teacher so she can be in smaller groups, et cetera, during that time. So I think that allowing the principal to help in making that decision, I think sometimes may need more guidance for the classroom teacher as to the utilization of that aid so that they can effectively address those people students that may be falling a little behind that need smaller group activities while that aid is assisting with some of the tasks, academic tasks, as opposed to menial tasks, as copying, et cetera, instead of direct student contact. And I think that because I harp on this because I know visiting the classrooms that it is a challenge when you have that many students. And I think that the teacher does the best she can, but the more students you have, the more that challenge becomes more difficult. And I think that somehow she had an extra hand that can help her in helping academically in that classroom, and she decides how they're utilized academically to interact with those students, it would be much better. Now, that's just my suggestion in regards to, since we're not reducing the class size, that we look at some other way of giving the teacher the assistance she needs so that she can address the classroom in a very comprehensive manner, directing her assistant to help academically with those students at some level, because the aide should be able to assist with some of those things that that the students need academically. So just kind of redirecting from my perspective, and I know that we don't micromanage in that aspect, but I think that we haven't gotten the results that we want, discipline-wise as well as educational-wise, academically, with the system we've been doing. And when you keep doing the same thing, like we said before, you get the same results. So I think we're going to have to look at things somewhat differently in regards to how we manage the classroom, and we allow the teachers to manage the classrooms from that perspective if we want to change things academically and be successful.
Yeah, I mean,
Two things. One being, I think the level of ability between each aide it varies considerably. So a uniform practice based upon that, on someone who did not choose education, teaching profession to be the teacher of record, is going to be difficult to replicate from class to class. Other thing's going to be that I would suspect, because I used to have an inclusion aide a long time ago when I taught, and I needed her to go make copies for me. It's funny you brought that up. Yeah. Just now, just had an epiphany and a flashback, because that was stuff I was going to need to do anyways, and that did help me as a classroom teacher, because I was the expert in the classroom in the subject of history to be able to provide the instruction that was needed, not that individual. And of course, we do have, so I can think of one individual, and I close my eyes, he helps us run the back gym clock for legacy basketball games. He loves doing the academic portion of it. So I think there's some of that as well, in variance between each individual person on that. And with the accountability in the classroom and the performance of those kids on that teacher, sometimes they have difficulty relinquishing that to someone else who is not the content matter expert. And I don't know who's complaining to you, because that's what it is. It's a complaint. But I know if my neck was on the line, I'm not going to abdicate that to somebody to provide instruction. As far as supervision goes for disciplinary prevention, absolutely. Maybe there's some guidance we can provide, but abdicating academic and content delivery, man, I'm not sure that we can say that that's something that we need to do from campus to campus, because I think it's going to vary.
No. I'm not saying from campus to campus. I'm saying that there are duties that I think, priority is making copies going to improve our student outcome directly as opposed to academic emphasis. So that's what I'm saying. We have to consider making copies so essential. You got to have those things in the classroom. You got to have those things that support staff. But if we're talking about making a difference in outcomes, that person that's making those copies possibly can help academically. And then we have to look at the quality of an individual. I agree with that 100%. All of them are not at the same level, but the ones that are capable of doing it, we need to allow them and use them in that manner to help academically if possible. It's an ongoing dialogue. We'll continue to talk about this.
Let's make a public announcement that not all of our teacher aides are just copyists.
I didn't want you to think that either. I know that some are utilized in a very effective way.
There's some that are outstanding.
People do interpret things sometimes
Our
wrong.
special education aides really have to do the work, because they're usually attached to a kid that is being pushed in for least restrictive environments. So there's a lot of education, a lot of academic need there. On our other paraprofessionals, Dr. Gropel, perhaps you can look at something that's a little bit more rigorous, depending upon the quality of individual that we have there. Maybe their expertise is not in mathematics or reading per se, it's more in the support end. We need to pair that and match them with the appropriate people and appropriate campuses. Yes, sir. Duly noted. Sir.
Do we ever, on what you guys were discussing, do we ever look towards our teachers' aides or paraprofessionals as a pool of people that may have an interest in education and that we could develop into the next step? You know, much like I look at somebody who's maybe answering the phones as a receptionist, and I say, Man, he hustles. He's really good. Maybe we're gonna, work with him and turn him into a sales guy down the road. Do we
Here's
something?
one close to your heart. We had a teacher aide at a campus. We were running a project. Mr. Newsom was familiar with this project. Quality teacher aide. Went to Early College High School. Graduated in December from UT Tyler. We hired her in January. So we filled one need, but then we lost another here. So absolutely, when those diamonds are in the rough, we can certainly do that. We also have Ms. Taylor back there that probably has, how many do we have right now that are inside of a program for paras? Ballpark estimate. We've had 4 before. I know that number's come to me before. So yes, sir, we've got pairs that are trying to go into that. Now, that is an ESC 7 in East Texas. It is a regional initiative, and that might work in Leverett's Chapel. Not to pick on them tonight, Mr. Leverett's, but the amount in Tyler ISD might be a little bit different. So that might make sense in some of the smaller districts, but on scale here might be a little bit different. But yes, we do have some of those.
Thank you.
Any more? Very good. We have future business. March 9th through 16th is spring break, and our next regular meeting is March 23rd. And can I get a motion to adjourn? Second?
Second.
All in favor? All opposed?
All right. Good work tonight.